A fire at a homeless camp in one southern Kentucky county is being described by some as an indicator of a larger problem. Plus, testimony leads to new charges for a Georgia school shooting suspect and his father.
And plenty of sunshine is in store for the next few days, but we are keeping an eye on our next rain chance, and we'll tell you when in a few minutes.
Mountain News, first at 4, continues.
A homeless camp in southern Kentucky caught on fire yesterday. No one was hurt and there was little property damage, but people say it is a sign of a bigger problem. Today, organizations are working to get more of the people into more stable structures and situations. WYMT's Phil Pendleton has more from Pulaski County.
A lot of smoke was seen in this area behind the Speedway gas station on North US 27 on Thursday afternoon. And when the fire department showed up, they were able to put the fire out without a lot of damage done to the area. But they say that it appears to them that someone set some clothing on fire in what appears to be a homeless encampment.
It's really sad that people have to live outside and light fires to keep warm.
Jessica Lee Luster works with Help the Homeless and says the situation Thursday has been sadly common across many places.
You see a lot of people lighting fires once it gets a little cold, and it has been a little cold across South Central Kentucky.
It's complicated because there's efforts to help people, but there's also new laws that make camping in certain places illegal.
I have heard of some arrests that have occurred. It is now, yes, it is illegal to camp there, and of course it's always illegal to trespass on private property as well.
Just top foods.
Kelly Wood heard about the encampment fire and helped mobilize donations for them.
Nobody's going to help them. If they had family to help them out of jail, they'd have family to help them off the street.
And officials and firefighters tell me that in cases like this, many times people will simply burn clothing in an attempt to stay warm. In Pulaski County, Phil Pendleton, now back to you.
The Safer Kentucky Act does include charges for illegal camping, but firefighters say there was no one around when they arrived to put the fire out.
Well, as advertised, we had a beautiful start to the weekend with plenty of sunshine and temperatures in the 60s and 70s. There's live pinpoint Doppler radar right now showing a clean sweep across all of eastern Kentucky, and this will get a break for the next several days. Lows this morning hovered right around freezing across the majority of the viewing area. Some places, though, stayed in the upper 30s and low 40s. Jackson dropped down to 40, 33 in London, 32 Williamsburg, Monticello, Jonesville seeing overnight lows in the upper 20s. And right now, we're seeing plenty of sunshine and temperatures in the 60s from top to bottom, left to right, making for a beautiful start to your weekend, and we'll stay clear as we go throughout the next several hours. We'll go to 54 by the 9 o'clock hour, mid 40s as we go throughout the overnight hours into the first part of your Saturday morning. Speaking of Saturday morning, when you wake up, temperatures in the 30s and 40s will be the rule. We'll keep the stretch of nice weather in play for a few more days, but there's a rain chance somewhere on the 7-day, and we'll talk about that in the first alert forecast in a few minutes. Steve.
Eric, thank you. Reaction continues to pour in over the death of Hamas leader Yahya Sinwar as leaders weigh in on what it might mean for the conflict in the Middle East. CBS's Bradley Blackburn reports from New York, and we want to warn you that some of the images of Sinwar's death may be disturbing.
Rockets fired towards Israel Friday night could be seen from Lebanon, hours after Hezbollah announced a new phase in its fight with Israel. It comes a day after Israeli troops killed Hamas leader Yahya Sinwar in Gaza. President Biden addressed both conflicts after meeting with allies in Germany.
We think that there's a possibility of working for a ceasefire in Lebanon, and it's going to be harder in Gaza, but we agree that there has to be an outcome. What happens the day after?
Sinwar was the chief architect of the October 7th terror attacks. Israel had been hunting for him for more than a year, but in the end, IDF soldiers killed him by chance during a firefight in southern Gaza. U.S. officials called his death an inflection point.
With Sinwar's killing yesterday, that there's a unique opportunity here for us all to kind of grab hold of to see what we can do to end the war.
Family members of hostages also expressed hope.
Now we have a real chance to find a way to seal a deal.
But among the rubble in Gaza, Palestinians mourned Sinwar's death during Friday prayers. And a Hamas deputy chief said Friday it will not return hostages until there's a ceasefire and Israeli forces withdraw. Bradley Blackburn, CBS News, New York.
On Thursday, Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said Sinwar's death, quote, is not the end of the war, but it's the beginning of the end. Death row inmate Robert Robertson has more time to plead for clemency after the Texas Supreme Court granted a last-minute stay of execution last night. He was convicted of murdering his 2-year-old daughter more than 20 years ago. Those asking for a review of his case include a U.S. Supreme Court justice, 86 state lawmakers, the detective on his original case, author John Grisham, and more. Robertson's future remains uncertain. In Georgia, testimony has led to new charges against a school shooting suspect and his father. 14-year-old Colt Gray now faces a potential life sentence if he's convicted. His father, Colin Gray, also faces dozens of charges for reportedly ignoring warning signs. CBS's Mark Strassman has more.
All right, good morning, sir. Are you Mr. Colt Gray?
Investigators allege school shooting suspect Colt Gray had an elaborate plan of attack, including a layout of the school and how many people he could kill.
A notebook in Colt's bedroom. It had pretty detailed drawings of a stick figure that he had labeled you, so him. It then says, shoot the teacher first.
We do have an active situation at Appalachia High School right now.
Last month's shooting at Appalachia High School killed 2 students and 2 teachers. Testimony also revealed the teen had created a shrine.
There were multiple clippings from newspapers, pictures that have been printed off the internet of other shooters that have been involved in similar incidences.
Investigators say the suspect's mother was concerned about her son's mental health and urged his father to restrict gun access. Instead, Colin Gray bought his son ammo and tactical gear.
They have charged the father actually with second-degree murder, which is the highest level charge that we've ever seen of a school shooter's parent. And it all really centers around access. This was one of the same issues in the Crumley trial.
In that case, prosecutors charged the parents of a Michigan school shooter. They were convicted of involuntary manslaughter.
And prosecutors are saying enough is enough. Parents need to be held accountable.
The Grays, father and son, are scheduled to return to court next month. Mark Strassman, CBS News, Atlanta.
Coming up on First at 4, retail sales are up as Americans are shopping more, plus what one survey tells us about credit card spending.
And in the world of weather, welcome to the weekend. Plenty of sunshine is in store, but a rain chance is somewhere in the forecast. Details in a few minutes.